This video contains spoilers for the upcoming Generation 10 Pokemon games. You have been warned. So for those that don't know, Grubbin Scrubbin right here posted a bunch of images from the Generation 10 Pokemon games, Pokemon Winds, Pokemon Waves. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because of the fact that some of the screenshots that I was digging through from these posts reminds me a lot of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, I just gotta make this very clear. I am not a big fan of Scarlet and Violet. I believe that those games looked even worse than Pokemon Legends ZA. The game straight up looked like it was a rip from Roblox. When you see footage of people flying around in that game, it looks disgusting. Like, it runs barely at 30 frames. Textures struggle to load. And even though the Pokemon models and the characters are cool, they just get handicapped so bad from the Nintendo Switch 1. So when I'm seeing screenshots like this, I get worried for the fact that they're reusing a lot of assets from Scarlet and Violet and are gonna have that in the upcoming Pokemon games here. Same issue happened in Pokemon Legends ZA. In Pokemon Legends ZA, if you ever look outside of the city limits, you will see some muddy textures that look exactly like the screenshot we're looking at right here. Now, playing devil's advocate right here, this right here is development from 2024. These were images that got decrypted from the 2024 Paraleak, where Game Freak got hacked, a terabyte of content got leaked, and there's been images and stuff floating from that release from a couple years now, from that 2024 release. So it does make a lot of sense that we are seeing a lot of textures similar from Scarlet and Violet, just because of the fact that this is 2 years after the development of those games, and that a lot of companies and gaming companies reuse assets a lot to kind of test things out and try to have things make sense when they're building the game, just because of the fact that they don't want to commit to higher res textures until they finally plan out, okay, how's the region going to look? Because if we do take a look at some of the other screenshots right here, here's a screenshot of going underwater. I'm kind of 50-50 on this. Some of the textures here look really good, but if you kind of look closer at it, I feel like it's the same issue like Scarlet and Violet had, where if you really pay attention to the ground, the buildings and stuff like that, things look a little muddy. Same thing right here. When I first looked at the screenshot of the diving mechanic that's going to be introduced in the upcoming Pokemon games, it looked pretty good, but if you look more at the details, it's like, I'm not too sure how I feel about this. Next up right here, we have an ice island, and it's going to be based on Island 5 from the leaks here. For those that don't know, this game's going to be based on Indonesia, and we're going to have multiple different islands to explore. For me personally, this is kind of like an upgraded Alola, but instead of being based in Hawaii, it's going to be based in Indonesia. And this actually looks pretty good, honestly. If we see this in the final textures, I feel like the ice textures in the mountain is actually going to look really good. So this one gives a thumbs up for me. Next up, we have more detailed of an island right here. And yes, the screenshot looks a little weird, but I think this actually has pretty good potential if it's going to run solely on the Switch 2. From what I've learned about these leaks, this game is only going to be coming out on the Nintendo Switch 2, so it's not going to be held back by the Nintendo Switch. And I'll tell you what, man, I've been getting so many comments from my YouTube shorts on people complaining left and right, like, oh my god, the Pokemon games are going to only be on the Switch 2. I can't get the Switch 2. But like, just to play devil's advocate here, I agree that it's kind of tough to be able to spend, you know, $500 on a Switch 2. I get it. This economy is tough right now. I'm struggling too. But at the same time, the Nintendo Switch has been out for almost 8 years now. And I really don't want the upcoming Pokemon games to get handicapped by the Switch 1, because it's really going to hold the games back from being able to be the potential that the fans want. And a little bit of a tangent right here, but man, I'll tell you what, dude, the amount of people that are Pokemon fans that complain left and right about, man, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is booty cheek. Man, Pokemon Legends ZA is just awful. Yeah, I keep seeing these people comment all the time in my videos being like, oh my god, I cannot believe the next Pokemon game is only gonna be on the Switch 2. Like, brother, the Nintendo Switch has been out since 2017. It's been almost 8 years now since the console's been out, and any game that gets released for the Switch 2 now in 2026 looks way outdated, bro. Because if we are able to use the hardware of the Nintendo Switch 2, power of that console is like in between PS4 to PS5 levels of power. And if we're able to use the full hardware of the Nintendo Switch 2 without worrying about also making the games run on the Switch 1, we're gonna have what this screenshot looks like look really good. The fact that Cyberpunk can run really well on the Switch 2, I have some hope for the upcoming games. But in the case to where Game Freak, because they don't have a lot of development time, because of the fact that they're gonna be reusing a lot of assets from Scarlet and Violet, does make me worried on the fact that the game can look amazing on the Switch 2, but it might not look amazing because we're still using a lot of assets and stuff that are scaled for the Switch 1. And the reason why I do have some promise for this though is like we see this cave screenshot right here from the same island. Like, this island right here seems like it's really far into development and it looks really good. So you can tell that there is some different levels of textures when it comes to this cave, especially compared to Scarlet and Violet. That was another thing I did not like about Scarlet and Violet, is how lack of depth the caves had. They all looked like just one texture half the time, and it was not fun to explore. This early screenshot right here for 2024 actually has some details to it, because you can see that the ground has some rubble textures to it of, you know, different Pokemon and people walking through it, while the rest of the rocks are not going to have a lot of dirt because what Pokemon are going to be climbing through these as much, you know? But I'll tell you what, man, this screenshot right here does worry me a lot. So I do like the idea that Pokemon is trying to do better when it comes to scaling out their game. And supposedly this screenshot right here is supposed to be Island 1, the main hub to where the character is going to first get introduced to this new region and is going to be the main hub that we're going to go to for a lot of our stuff. Because we can also see right here another screenshot from Island 1, and you can see this Grand Hotel. Apparently the Gen 10 Pokemon game here is going to start very similarly to Legend ZA. Legend ZA started us off where we go to Lumio City as a tourist, and then we get into the whole antics with Team MZ and we stay at Hotel Z. Same thing is going to be happening in the Gen 10 Pokemon games, so we're going to be able to stay at this hotel and do a lot of our main hub stuff. As you can see from the screenshot right here, these are all the islands that we are going to be getting in Pokemon Winds and Waves. And you can see on Island 1, which is what these screenshots are based off of, you can see multiple hotel locations that we're going to be able to enter into. And what has me worried about this Island 1 right here is the fact that I think this is going to run into the same issue as Scarlet and Violet. When I played through Scarlet and Violet, I was amazed when you're able to get from the starter town, start going to the Paldea Academy, and you see this grand scaled academy that looked really fun to explore. But as you started getting to the nitty gritty of the places where you start going, looking at the Pokemarts, at the sandwich shop, and the different NPCs that are kind of everywhere, it felt like soulless. It really disappointed me because in older Pokemon games on the handhelds, you were able to enter into every single building. And yeah, some of the buildings looked like they had a lot of reused textures, but as the games got more developed, as more generations were released for these Pokemon games, they did look a lot better and had unique details for each individual building. So while I'm excited to explore Generation 10 Pokemon game, Pokemon Winds and Pokemon Waves, and explore the city and stuff like this, the thing that I know I'm going to get disappointed about is like, I know we're not going to be able to enter into most of these buildings. And you can make games run and be fun to explore, like games like Grand Theft Auto, Spider-Man, and stuff like that, where they're very open and you have a bunch of skyscrapers to explore. But I just don't know if Pokemon can scale it correctly, but hopefully that they do, because I feel like as long as they do a lot of depth in the entirety of the region itself, I think this first island right here where we're seeing the city and stuff like that, I do like the idea that we actually have this grand park that we can explore. That is going to have a lot of detail that we're going to be able to have, as you can tell. And it looks like we could possibly enter into this building over here, as there's more of an emphasis on the entrance compared to the other stuff here, you know? And it looks like there's possibly a Pokemon Center in the background too. So even though we're not going to be able to enter every single building like we were in the previous Pokemon games, there is still a chance that at least the outside depth is going to look really nice, because they did do a good job with that with Legend ZA. I just want them to strike that right balance of like, okay, we're having all these different islands to explore. Let's make sure that they're fun to interact with and stuff like that. But I'm hoping that they have some of the buildings too that we can enter into to be fun, like the gyms, Pokemon Center, and random NPC houses, because I do hate it when the Pokemon games have all these places that it looks like you can explore, yet you cannot. So again, I'm just kind of skeptical is the best way to describe how I feel right now from what these screenshots have. And we even see some people too on the left here that look fun too. We see, I think, a Lucario right there, some NPCs kind of looking around and stuff. So I do think that there is a chance that I'll have some of the same depth as Legend ZA did, because Legend ZA did a really good job of having a bunch of NPCs that did feel lively, and everywhere that you were able to explore looked awesome. I'm hoping that this game does a good job of taking those aspects of Legend ZA, but then also allow us to explore the buildings, the gyms, the Pokemon centers, and have it make it feel like a lively place. And hopefully the hotel has a lot of depth too, because that's one thing I didn't like I said earlier, is the fact that the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Paldea Academy just didn't really have the right vibes that I was looking for. And the last thing we'll take a look at right here is the desert here. Honestly, I actually really like the direction they're going with this. I think they're doing a really good job with the details of the different rocks, the different palm trees, the different grass right here to make it more of a lively environment, even though it is just a plain, just sandy desert. Kind of gives me the idea of like, what if Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale Darkness were released in the big 2026? That's what this is reminding me of. And speaking of which, I would love a remake for those games. Unfortunately, that's not gonna happen, but getting a taste of what that experience would be like in the upcoming Pokemon games is a cool thing to think about. And then we also have this plains area here that also looks pretty cool, some depth. So even though I'm really worried about the plains islands not having a lot of details, stuff like that, this screenshot does give me a little bit of hope also for the fact that we have this nice little river to explore, an awesome path to see. We have some, you know, different environment backgrounds like a great world tree or whatever the case may be in the background too. So again, it possibly is going to look really awesome, but again, we'll have to wait and see till the trailer officially comes out in February. But still, let me know what you guys think about the upcoming Generation 10 games, Pokemon Wind and Pokemon Waves. What do you guys think about this 2024 development? Do you guys have hope that the 2026 development is going to look a lot better than what we're seeing right now? Or are you guys still doomers when it comes to thinking of that this game's going to be the worst ever? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like in the video and subscribe, as we're going to do all sorts of news related to the upcoming Pokemon games. And other than that, see you later. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.